You are listening to MINDSHOCK. This is your host, Bruce McGuire. Today we are tackling a long requested topic. A topic I've delayed for quite some time for a few different reasons, which I will go over. But the dating crisis, a logical analysis in typical MINDSHOCK fashion, without falling for any logical fallacies like pretty much everything out there in the mainstream and not in the mainstream. We'll be taking a look at what the expletive happened to the nuclear family, and does this spell doom for Western civilization? As always, if you find the MINDSHOCK podcast interesting and informative, you can donate to our PayPal. Just check the link in the description. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications, like and share Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, and Patreon. Patrons to get priority for case topic, logical analysis, co-podcast, or requests. You could also be a guest in the podcast depending on your tier. Questions, comments, theories, thoughts, suggestions, rebuttals, debunkings of any kind, leave them in the comment section. Unless, of course, you are with us here live. Drop them in the live chat. I'll try to get to all of them. You could also become a YouTube member right here on YouTube. Help support the channel that way. Also, if you're not getting the notifications through YouTube, which are always sketchy, you can sign up. Even the free Patreon will give you all the notifications for all of the latest podcasts, lives, and otherwise. So, okay, are we glitching out here? Is everything good? Alright, I think the stream is fine, but YouTube lag here and there. Alright. So, yeah, we do have a little bit of lag. So, okay, what is the thesis and why did I avoid covering this topic for so long? Well, and what are the causes for the decline of Western civilization? So, if you haven't checked out my podcast on the decline of everything, I'm not going to spoil everything, but I went over the main catalyst for the decline of Western civilization. In short, it's basically the lack of sentimentality, the rise of meta and apathy, and everybody being jaded about everything, and the lack of genuine excitement and quality and everything can all be traced back to the lack of genuine emotion and sentimentality, aka cheesiness. As soon as cheesiness became vilified, that was the beginning of the end. But there's obviously more to it. And we're going to start with the basic statistics here. These are the trends here. Dating and relationship trends from 1990 to 2025. And you can see this huge spike happened mostly in 1990. We could actually go back a little bit further. Give me a second here. Let's go to... How far back are we going? Let's see if we can get further back here. But in recent years here, this is really, really weird, where everything's just dropping, everybody's single now, and of course, yeah, let's go back to 1950, actually. That'll be a better chart. There we go. So let's go 1950 to today, and you hear you can see, wow. So even in the 50s, wow. So the drop started in 1950. That's kind of interesting. Very, very slow, though. I mean, talking negligible percentage points here. But it looks like a pretty big drop from around 2000 to 2005. Looks like the most precipitous drop here. And then just the steady decline. And actually, not a drastic drop past few years since COVID, unless these are kind of outdated stats. But obviously, it takes a year or two to get accurate statistics with anything. Welcome, Rune, in the chat. Rune says, you know of the content creator Home Math? No, sir. I do not. I believe I've heard the term. Actually, I probably have seen a couple clips here. I know it was Home Math, though. I'm looking through the continent now. But obviously, I mean, we've gone over some overlapping issues here with the Illuminati feminist agenda and mental health crises. So I'll bring those stats up as well here. Everything is relevant. Man, YouTube is laggy today. Wow. Okay. Gonna take a second here. Yeah, this is actually kind of interesting. I would not have guessed. I mean, I wasn't around in the 50s, but I would not have guessed that the drop started in the 50s. Let me go back a little further, actually. Let's see if we can get even further. Okay. Yeah, this is kind of weird. I was not even expecting this. So back in baby boomer times, there was already a very, very slight decline going in people dating and the rise in single people. Man, I don't know what's going on here. It's so slow. Oh, man. Okay, so we do have this here, which is possibly relevant. This is from 2020. You have liberal women 18 to 29 with the highest rates of mental health conditions. And yeah, that's pretty interesting. And then male liberals 18 to 29 with way higher rates than, for example, conservative or moderate men, practically double. And the women, I mean, you're looking at over 50%. And that's only those that have actually gone to get diagnosed by a doctor or healthcare provider. So it could be even higher. So that's interesting. So our indoctrinated individuals at indoctrination facilities known as liberal universities, so they're brainwashed. They're completely brainwashed into, of course, just pursuing career over family, and also with many narcissistic traits, and obviously the Dunning-Kruger effect at play, because they think they went to this prestigious indoctrination facility. Somehow that means their opinion on everything is valid, and they don't really question the professors too much. So, yeah, a lot going on here. Let's get some more stats here. Okay, here we go. Finally. Getting somewhere to lag. Easing up here. So this is just from 1970 to 2005 here. You have a life satisfaction. Pretty interesting. Everything's been kind of downhill since the 70s. Since the mid-70s, everything just plummets. We have an absolute plummet here. Now, what's curious, what's very, very curious here is the amount of women in the workplace and getting degrees and how this correlates. And yeah, correlation doesn't prove causation, but does it disprove it? For all the goofs, for all the coincidence theorists, bootlickers, the authority-worshipping cultists who cannot use critical thinking or deductive reasoning, this meme is for you, if YouTube will allow me to post it. This meme is for all the bootlickers. Correlation does not imply causation, but does correlation disprove causation? That's the question a lot of the goofs should be asking. I'm going to leave this image here as well, just for the lulz. Okay, so you have the majority of young adult females going into colleges and the workplace. Then you have the plummet in life satisfaction. All coincidental, I'm sure. I mean, how can it not be coincidental? Is it even possible? Is it possible this isn't coincidental? This is also pretty curious here. Happiness by age. So another just coincidence here. Female happiness has gone down since 72. Female happiness goes down from age 20 to age 90 for those that make it there. All coincidental, I am absolutely certain. I mean, obviously feminism could not be related to anything in any way. Right, coincidence theorists? Right? Right? Okay. So, let's go back. Let's go back here to the first graphic here. So, what's going on here? So you have simply people either not interested in dating at all, or the rise of narcissism and liberalism since the traditional 50s. So now nobody's good enough. Also, you have the rise of the celebration of sodomy. So you have way more sodomites running around today than before. So people are just chasing pleasure, hedonism, the sodomistic hedonists, we could call them. Rise of rampant drug use. Not that people didn't use drugs in the 50s and 60s and 70s and 80s. Obviously, they did. But they also did other stuff. And they also had some kind of common sense. There were still some kind of values there. Now, like, everything is just degenerated to such a point where there's nothing else other than the sodomistic hedonism. So now it's all about just incredible promiscuity across the board, plus narcissism. And so, is this enough to collapse an entire civilization? I mean, possibly. Pretty scary stuff right here. Pretty scary stuff here. Is this survivable here? Let's look at this, the crude birth rate from 73 to 2023. We got some interesting things happening here. So there was a rise from in the 80s. Interesting, very interesting. The hopeful 80s, when there was still hope in the air. The 80s, the last great. Some people call the 90s the last great decade. I did a few different podcasts on the 80s and 90s, 80s versus 90s, etc. I mean, I would still say the early 90s were pretty solid. Pretty solid. But if we're using the birth rate as a metric of optimism, I mean, that would put 88, 89 as peak civilization in the modern era. I think, what year did I pick? I think I picked 1993, 92 or 93 as peak. Because you still had the 80s vibes going. And then you had the grunge and the meta and all that stuff happening throughout the 90s, and then the collapse. But this is scary stuff here. It looks like COVID really facilitated that, the last plummet here. Because it looked like it was actually stabilizing a little bit. I mean, look at this. Look at these precipitous drops year after year after year. And then you have, what do we got here? Somewhere around 2018. 2018 was the bottom at that time. That was the first year that saw a rebound into 2019. Then it held until 2020. And then the collapse, lower than before, year after year after year, as per 1,000%. Wow. I mean, is this a mind shock or what? I mean, these are all Pew Research Center. So, okay. I mean, this is crazy stuff here. I mean, how can... I mean, this is just really wild. How are we going to logically break this down? It's tough. It's tough. So is this... All right, let me... Man, this is really, really tough. Let me try to break down a few more metrics here. Oh, I didn't do the updated chart here from 1920. Let's do... Okay, let me replace this one. Let's go back all the way to 1920, actually. So this is 1920. So we're going way, way, way back now. Okay. So you have percentage who dated as teens. So you have it rising from 1920 to 1950, 55. And then from 55, it starts going down. That's curious. And then you still have, this is crazy. You still have percentage of 18 to 29-year-olds that are single is still rising from 1920. So all through the 20s and the 30s, there's just more and more single people. That's interesting. But you don't have this incredible spike until after the 60s. I mean, this is very interesting here. Very, very interesting. What does it all mean? Can we make heads or tails? We're going to try here. Let's get a few more metrics here. Welcome Chin Chin, Flat Bob, and Rune, of course, who's been here since the beginning of this. Very interesting topic. The reason I avoided it, what's kind of curious, in the 90s, and people can give their personal anecdotes in the chat. In the 90s, I noticed this, and full disclaimer for those that don't know, I'm not some, like, nightclub promoter playboy that was all up in them clubs. And I mean, I lived in LA and New York, but, yeah, no, that wasn't my fast and hard lifestyle. If it were, I probably wouldn't know much about logic and reason and logical fallacies, but yeah. So, I mean, I had, you know, some observations, obviously. I would say back in the 90s, you had a pretty, I would go 50% on just personable individuals that could probably have at least a semi-healthy relationship of some kind. 50%. And then I did notice just a precipitous drop through the 2000s. Now, whether it was the rise of internet technology, social media, screens, I mean, people were watching more and more TV since the 60s as well. I mean, does that have something to do with it? Is it just the Illuminati MK Ultra programming on the idiot box to blame for all of this? Welcome, I am Iron's Cat. Is this simply MK Ultra programming on the idiot box combined with the feminist Illuminati agenda for depopulation? Is that all it is? Is it really that simple? Oh man, is it that simple? I mean, I'm trying to think of other factors. There really aren't too many. I mean, you could say reality TV really started warping people's brains and leading them to the path of sodomy and hedonism in the early 90s. Could definitely make that case. TV shows like The Real World, 90210, giving the illusion that all of this fast and loose lifestyle is cool. And then you have all the youngins pursuing it. I Am Ion's Cat says, Idiot Box is not even a thing with kids anymore. We Gen Xers were raised by the TV, but today kids don't even watch it. Well, yeah, now it's been replaced by TikTok brain rot. So now you have TikTok and social media apps which can actually destroy the brain even faster than the Idiot Box ever could. And we were kind of seeing that in real time. I'm kind of trying to pinpoint, though, the exact years, because these charts are very interesting. Just the exact rises and drops year by year. This is really interesting because we can actually pinpoint a few things here. Obviously, in the past few years, I mean, it's just been catastrophic, as evidenced by this chart, the crude birth rate here. I mean, you could see this might not be survivable for a civilization. I mean, this is below replacement levels. So, yeah, this is not sustainable. We're trying to just get to the bottom of it. What happened, when, and how? So here's another Pew chart here. This is female college enrollment, and this is only undergraduate enrollment. So this is kind of curious as well. You have a lot of stuff coinciding here. It's very curious. It's very, very curious. I mean, how much damage have these indoctrination facilities done? And for the feminist goofs that are arguing this is all good, I mean, when there are no more humans left, I mean, there's going to be nobody to say whether it's good or bad. So it's just, it's interesting that a lot of these liberal goofs, they don't consider that, you know, there's not going to be anybody left at a certain point. I mean, it's kind of an interesting thing where they just advocate for, you know, abortion or murdering as many of the unborn as possible with just no thought process to there's going to be nobody left one day. Now, obviously, they're probably not working with a full deck of cards upstairs, you know, with all their mental health conditions. So, and that's another thing, too. Like, a lot of goofs hallucinate, like, everybody's opinion is equally valid. Like, that's a hallucination that has caused quite the decline as well. Now, obviously, you know, this doesn't mean literally there's going to be nobody left. Obviously, some people, especially religious people, you know, they'll still be around. But, yeah, well, what is society going to look like with a 90% reduction as the New World Order wants? With their various agendas. I am Ion's Cat says YouTube shorts are a crime against humanity. Yeah, let's not fall for false dichotomies. Like, there's some good info in some of them. Clearly mine. Rune says the financial emancipation took a generation to kick in, combined with the town square getting bigger. People stopped settling, in quotations, for less. Yeah, it's a weird thing. You know, there's definitely something to that grass is greener effect. Because in the 20s, without television, people didn't, so to speak, know what they were missing. Not that they could necessarily get it, but they simply weren't witnessing how other people lived, high society or whatnot, celebrities. And yeah, with the rise of the idiot box and MK Ultra Illuminati programming, now people through the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and obviously after, now you can actually follow celebrities and all that, the high lifestyle. And the more, yeah, the town square getting bigger, so to speak, communication is greater. So more people have access to more people, not necessarily that those people would want to marry and have a family with them. But yeah, the access to more information has certainly led to these precipitous drops. I mean, these are all critical factors. Here's another mind shock here. I'm sure this is all coincidental and has nothing to do with the nuclear family on its way to being extinct, but this is female workforce participation here. This is Census Bureau, Bureau of Statistics, and Brookings Historical Labor Reports. So here, yeah, wow. So now you have the 20. I mean, these charts are almost identical, aren't they? Look at the trends in singlehood and female workforce. I mean, wow. You could practically overlay these charts here. You could practically overlay them. Very interesting. I'm sure it's all coincidental. But yeah. Wow. Wow. Very interesting. I mean, wow. And the birth rate chart's practically the inverse. I mean, wow. Any questions? Any questions? Esprit says females going to college is why? Because it would be hard having babies during college. I mean, not that it's not done. I mean, there's pregnant people in high school. Yeah, obviously it's harder. Obviously it's harder. Um, yeah, no, I don't know about that. Just the physicality of going to class while being pregnant. I'm not sure that has a lot to do with it. More so, probably the Illuminati brainwashing at liberal universities might have something to do with that. Where instead of, having a nuclear family and being happy, females are simply answering to a different man, usually a man, their boss, and they're just doing stuff for him instead of their husband and their kids. And maybe that has something to do with, with all these other stats, with all the happiness stats, life satisfaction and otherwise. Maybe that has just a little bit to do with it? Possibly? Esprit says morning sickness. Yeah. All that is true, of course. But yeah, some of these stats, they're just kind of staggering when you actually look at them side by side. I'm not sure how many people are actually looking at all these stats side by side. Because if you want to destroy a society, like let's say you're the Illuminati, the New World Order, it's time for a new mud flood reset, whatever. You want to wipe out a civilization. How do you do it? You have to destroy quality of life. You have to destroy availability, just basically being able to live. Let me bring up this graphic, which is absolutely terrifying. I've gone over it before, but I mean, I just can't play this enough for all the bootlicking goofs who think, society's fine. I mean, just look at this. This is housing and urban development. I mean, this is one of the most terrifying things you will ever see. I mean, just look at this. Income relative to rent price. I mean, we need to get an updated chart going back a little further than 85, but look at this. So with, the Illuminati feminist agenda, you double the workforce, which makes the wages go down. Inflation's going up for a few different reasons, taking off the gold standard, there's many other factors. And now you have nobody being able to make a living. And then obviously people are taking advantage of this, and then you have, corporate buying up houses to rent. I mean, you have all sorts of funny business going on, but what enables all of that is the feminist Illuminati agenda, getting women in the workforce to double the labor force and, effectively more than half the value of money. I mean, in parallel, we could also take a look at what happened to the value of the dollar here, where there's no gold standard. Oh, let me replay that again. There's no gold standard here. Now there's not. And just look at the, it's a several 1,000% decrease in the value of a dollar. Does it all simply stem from the Illuminati feminist agenda to basically destroy society by design? If you are an NWO agent and you are looking to destroy society, how do you do it? Welcome, Clark Rice. Haven't seen you in a little bit, actually. Welcome, Clark. Esprits, let's blame chemicals. Well, I mean, they're not to blame. I mean, they're one of the factors, for sure. I mean, I don't really want to get into fertility per se, but, yeah, unless you guys want to, we could. I'm Iron's Cat says, have you read Eric Weinstein's papers on him figuring out how they first destroyed the salaries of architects, then PhD, and now every profession? No, I have not seen that. I mean, yeah, obviously every profession's salaries have been destroyed. I mean, even in Illuminati Hollywood, I mean, actors aren't really making as much money as they used to. I mean, pretty much every single industry has been decimated. Is it all by design? Is it all by design? So getting back to the topic at hand here regarding dating, let's go back to the original charts here. So are people simply just either content to surf Netflix, to just watch Netflix all day, so they don't really care about dating, or is it the case of everybody's just so narcissistic these days? Clark says it's going to be like Road Warrior without Mel. Adam in the chat says average dudes have no chance. Well, here's the thing. Average women have no chance of getting a family. By their own accord, obviously. You know, I guess there's plenty of men willing to settle, but not women. So that results in both gender. I mean, look at the rise of being single. Okay, you want to divide it by gender? Let's do that. Perhaps we can get a better image there. Because that is curious. I remember seeing something about it before, but I want to get the exact charts up here with all the sources, so all the coincidence theorist cope will be even more hilarious. I mean, who thinks this all isn't by design? It's all accidental. Adam says, best bet meeting someone in the real world. But that's actually kind of curious, because it looks like... You know what's weird, though? I mean, look at this chart here on young adult dating, 18 to 29-year-olds. It's just dropping, even with 90s AOL dating online, you know, whatever. You've got movies like You've Got Mail and all that stuff, people meeting each other online, even though that did happen. It looks like it was happening mostly. I mean, we could get the stats for older people. Perhaps there was a spike in older people. But for 18 to 29-year-olds, that didn't affect anything. It's still dropping. It had no effect. And look at the birth rate. It had no effect on the birth rate either. So that 90s into 2000s, like the rise of online dating, it did not bring back anything. Adam says part of the problem is less people have their own place. That is a huge problem. Obviously, it's a lot easier, but it doesn't... So, okay. That doesn't necessarily... See, most people going on a first date or even second and third, it's probably not usually at the home of either party, right? You're going to the movies, you're going to a restaurant, you're going to do something, going to do an activity. So, I mean, if anything, okay, let's get some more stats here, because we need to get a more complete picture here in typical MindShock fashion. Okay, so this is stunning. This is going to surprise a few people. This is going to surprise some people. Now, you're saying average guys have no chance, which is probably true, but look at this gender comparison here. Percentage of young adults, 18-29, who are single by gender. So you have, obviously there are more single men, but look at just the rise of single females. It's kind of curious here that in this particular chart, I wonder if... Okay, so these are estimates from 20 to 60 based on demographic cultural marriage trends. This is Pew Research Center, Gallup, U.S. Census Bureau, General Social Survey, Time Magazine, The Atlantic, BLS Brookings. Okay, so this factored in like all these different surveys and estimates and all of this. So that's curious. So you have 70% of women are single, 18 to 29. And 75% of men are single, 18 to 29. I mean, I kind of wanted to look at 18 to 29 first because, see, back in the day, that was when most people got married. Now, obviously, it's later. All right, let's do all ages. and we'll see if how much is different. I mean, it's almost like we should probably attack that separately from kind of like 30 to 40 and then 41 to 60 or something and then 60 and up. But I mean, I kind of want like the 18 to 29-year-olds. I mean, in the past, those were what kind of drove society, but actually, it looks like okay. There's really not a big difference here. So I guess, yeah, I can do the chart 18 and up. So there's not a huge difference, even factoring in all ages. Here, so it's 70, 60. So yeah, slightly less. So across all ages, so single women 18 and up to any age, only about touch over 60%. And men 65%. So not the biggest difference when looking at 18 and up versus 18 to 29. But yeah, now, well, we're going to get a little crazier here. Let's get into some dicey territory here. Let's get dicey. Let's get controversial for some people. Let's see what kind of other stats I can get up here, but Adam says, I'm 28, so I should be going on dates a lot, but I'm decent looking redhead, can't even get a match. Online dating is superficial. Yeah, online dating is tough. I think there was, I don't know if you want to get it, if people want to talk about online dating specifically, I think there might have been a couple years pre-Tinder where it could have possibly had, you know, I heard, like, I knew some people who met online and got married. Like, it seemed to kind of work, like, for, like, this narrow window, like, post-America Online, pre-Tinder. Like, there was a couple years where you had seemingly normal people online. I mean, obviously not the case today, but how many people, okay, go to the mall, how many normal people, like, let's forget looks completely. Like, I know this is non-congruent argument. I know nobody's actually going to do it. But just as a thought experiment, forget about looks completely. How personality-wise, values-wise, how many people are actually dateable or marriageable? As opposed to, you know, having multiple mental health conditions and being practically unhinged. Clark says, been busy employing working girls. That's one strategy. Adam says, people dating with kids versus people dating without kids. You want to see those stats? Oh, man, I don't even want to go there yet. If we don't have a complete picture, we can go there after. Espress says, birth control, yes. That definitely explains certain things. But the weird thing is, like, back through the decades, less and less people had children out of marriage, and now people aren't getting married. So I'm not 100% sure. I mean, obviously that affects the stats, but I don't think that's, like, a game changer. I mean, it's definitely a game changer in the rise of promiscuity, but I don't know how much that affected people getting married versus not married. All right, let's see what other kind of stats we can get here. So these are estimates. This is the best I could find from the Kinsey reports. Let's look at this. This is going to be highly controversial. I think this is mostly based on survey information, so it might not be that accurate. Let's look at estimated promiscuity, casual sex outside of relationships, 1920 to 2025. All right. Well, actually, this is combining Kinsey reports, CDC, Pew Research, Journal of Sex Research, etc. So, I don't know. Maybe it's semi-accurate. So, you have here, this is kind of weird. So, you have here, I don't know how they would get these numbers, because they would have to be admitted. Like, how many women in the 20s would admit it, even if it were true? And then how many men are going to lie about it to appear to be more of playboys than they actually were? So this is a tough one because there's no way to prove this. This is just really tough. But here you have this spike through the 80s to 2000. I mean, actually, it's spiking through the 60s. Sexual revolution, drugs. Yeah, and then it actually doesn't appear to spike that much post-2000. I would not say this is accurate, though. Yeah, I mean, again, this is survey data. It's hard to believe this is accurate because, yeah, other data suggests something completely different for the past 20 years. So I don't know if this is accurate at all. But this is just estimated averages from Kinsey Reports, GSS, NSFG, CDC, Pew Research, Journal of Sex Research, and various historical sociological studies. So pre-70s, it's not going to be that accurate, but these are estimates. But again, kind of curious too, like the more promiscuity, the less actual relationships. Because look at these charts here. Look at these charts. It's crazy. So people are more promiscuous outside of relationships. So this is the very definition of sodomy going on here. Welcome Best in the West. Movies like Bridges of Madison County in the 90s, which encourages promiscuity. I would actually pinpoint The Real World, MTV, 90210, as and Friends as well. Those shows practically destroyed the minds of most people. Esprit says, I always surf and bail on everything not reliable for a date. Adam says, let's just say cultural Marxism has its impact in this realm. Sure. Esprit says, no need for a shotgun wedding. I think you misspelled that, but what you said actually sounds kind of funnier. But yeah, no need for shotgun weddings with birth control. That is true. Best in the West says Friends is a real good example. Yeah, I actually have an logical analysis on Friends season by season. I just did episode 1 on first season. I'll be getting to the others later. No, I have not watched the actual show. I was just going over summaries. I don't think I need to rot my brain with that. So yeah, these are really interesting numbers across the board here. But I think the other issue is just the... You know what? Let me see if I can get actual stats for this. 1 second. If I can pull actual stats on this, this will be very interesting. Because this is my thesis, is that... obviously, and yeah, MTV, then the internet, social media, it kind of turned everybody into a narcissist. And just no child left behind strategy and indoctrination facilities of pretending and hallucinating. All opinions are equally valid. Everybody's special. I mean, obviously, everybody is special in their own way, but that not everybody has an equal grasp of even basic logic or basic English comprehension. So to hallucinate that their opinion is as equally valid as somebody else's opinion, that leads to just a generation of narcissists, which is what we see today, where everybody thinks they can't be wrong, etc., etc., the Dunning-Kruger effect. All right, here we go. Here we go. This is going to be the holy grail of statistics that I believe proves my point. I don't know if anybody else is going over all content like this by providing all of the receipts here. So look at this. So these are the sources here. We have APA, the Twengen Campbell Study 2009, Narcissistic Personality Inventory Trends, Pew Research, and GSS. Look at the rise of this is the estimated percentage of narcissists in the population. I mean, look at this in comparison to these charts. All these charts could practically lay over each other, couldn't they? It's all the same trend. I mean, just look at this. From 1920, not too much of a rise through the 30s. You hit 1940, it's all over. It's the beginning of the end. And then look at these spikes from the 60s. The spikes. I mean, just look at this angle of increase, and it just doesn't stop. It's so sharp of an increase. I mean, do we really need to go over anything else after this? I mean, do we really have to go over anything else now? Best in the West says LOL. I mean, come on. What else is there here? Best in the West says, is that purely TV and movie influenced? No, it's indoctrination facility influence. Like, for example, like even in the early grade school, like every child is equally heard out, and they pretend like the teachers coddle the kids, No Child Left Behind, etc. They pretend, this is from 90s onwards, but I guess according to these stats, much earlier. But I mean, in my recollection, it got a lot worse in the 90s. But it looks like, I guess it was pretty bad in the 80s and the 70s too. Maybe even the 60s. But yeah, it's like everybody gets equal time, and everybody gets to hear their opinion called out. And if you criticize somebody's opinion too harshly, the teacher's like, oh, hey, be nice, be nice. Like, you can't even state objective facts. So then you have generations of people growing up thinking their opinions are valid, even when they're complete trash and unsupported. I mean, just look at the Goofatorium series here on MindShock of street interviews. Like, the confidence with these Dunning-Kruger goofs spew their opinions as if they can't be wrong. I mean, back in the day, you'd get smacked if you said something, like, really stupid. Like, back in the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, you'd get smacked if you said the stuff people say today with impunity and without criticism. BB says, did they account for narcissism maybe just being recognized more these days? That's a good question. So I'm assuming they did, because, I mean, this is not one source. So this is a bunch of different sources. Because, I mean, look at the rise even in the 40s and the 50s. So if they didn't, because, I mean, just let's use basic common sense here. Like, how polite were people? So you're right. I mean, it could be overt. I guess this would be overt narcissism, right? Because there could be like closeted narcissists that hid it all and were super, sneaky with it, possibly. But I guess this is definitely, I guess you could call it overt narcissism, because society was just genuinely way more polite back in the day. But I would also say more considerate. This seems accurate to me, right? Like, back in the day, people genuinely helped other people. Like, people went out of their, not everybody, but people went out of their way to help people. Now everything's all about me, I. Maybe video games also plays a role. Let's not forget about video games. I mean, kids are just tuned in to, like, complete alternate realities. And obviously video games existed, like, in the 70s and the 80s as well. But look at the amount of time consumed on. If you guys want stats, I can pull up the stats too. But just the amount of time people spent playing video games has gone up exponentially, because now you can do it on your phone. You could just practically do it all day. Whereas back in the days of consoles and people living with families, like, you have other family members watching TV, you can't play video games. Not to mention parents actually, instilled some kind of discipline back then. I mean, that's another issue too. You got to blame the parents to a certain extent, because again, back in the day, you get smacked for saying something stupid. Now, literally any and all opinions are celebrated. Oh, that's maybe I don't agree with you, but that's a valid opinion, even if it's not. So this is the kind of goofery that's going on these days. I mean, is really there anything else to go over here? And obviously the media too, like media and marketing. Like, you could even rope in, like, the positive body image propaganda, where, like, even, like, obese people are beautiful, etc., etc. Like, there's no reason to have discipline or work hard. You're great no matter what. I mean, how is that not going to lead to narcissism? Like, everybody's a 10. Has any of you seen any of those, like, dating podcasts? Like, All the women are always 10s, like every single one, no matter what. So when you have people reinforcing that all the time, 24/7, how is that not going to lead to just a generation of complete narcissism? Now, I think even another curiosity is even male narcissists, I think, are a lot more aware of their flaws. They might pretend, they might, deny them to other people, but they're aware themselves. Whereas the female marketing delusion, particularly with the positive body image movement, like it seems like female narcissists are more likely to believe that they have no flaws, and the entitlement off the charts, whereas the male narcissist might truly believe they don't deserve it, but they're gonna be shady and get it anyway. So slightly different mentality there. So anybody else have any other questions? I mean, is there anything else to go over after this? Like, look at the narcissism chart. I mean, why would anybody? I mean, when you're unwilling to just be genuine and caring towards another human being, like, how can relationships thrive? I mean, this is the collapse of society. I think we've gone over all the main factors anyway. I mean, is there anything else to logically go over here? Or did we go over everything? I mean, I don't think this needs to be a long one. BB says, wish I'd seen this when it started. Dating sociology is very interesting. Why are we discussing narcissism? Because when you have this many narcissists that are entitled, why would they want to be in a relationship with somebody? I mean, obviously a narcissist could feed off a non-narcissist, but why would a narcissist isn't going to suffer another narcissist? I mean, again, look at all these charts. All these charts all mirror each other. So, like, to hallucinate that it's all unrelated, I mean, that's a little weird. I mean, I think we covered, like, all the main factors here. Is there anything else to cover? And also, I guess the other factor is, like, the amount of entertainment to just distract goofs from their lives is so much more these days. Like, between all the Netflix and the streaming and the social media apps and just, and the people that actually do have friends in real life and just, there's really not much, like, how much more motivation is there to go out there and actually have a family? Like, there's so many things bombarding and distracting and destroying the minds of 18 to 29-year-olds, or all people, all ages. BB says, my mom is a narcissist, married my dad, and had kids to have power over others. Yeah, sure, but is your father a narcissist? Because back in the day, yeah, you'd have, one narcissist can obviously marry another narcissist, but when almost everybody's a narcissist, what you gonna do? Now, obviously, this is only showing that, around 15% of the population are narcissists. These are overt narcissists, not covert, but these are observant. So this is exhibiting narcissistic traits. So these are the narcissists that are kind of open enough about it to be identified. Obviously, the numbers could be quite higher. BB says, my poor dad is too kind. He's afraid of her. Yeah, exactly. That's how the dynamics work. So if your mom couldn't find another guy because if a narcissist is not kind. So yeah, if she couldn't find a non-narcissist, she wouldn't have been able to get married and have children. That's kind of the whole point. So the further back in time you go, the less narcissists there are. So yeah, that's why I brought up narcissism. So it seems to be a very, very direct relationship here. I mean, I think I'm done here. I mean, what else is there to break down? We have the feminist Illuminati agenda. Women entering the workplace en masse. You got birth control and the collapse of the birth rate, the rise of sodomy and hedonism. I mean, all these charts practically look the same. They all support the same information. So unless we forgot a variable, I think we kind of went over everything. And of course, one of the other factors, which perhaps we didn't spend enough time on, but yeah, just the grass is greener effect. When you're constantly being reminded of all these other types of people, like these larger-than-life people living larger-than-life lifestyles. rich and famous lifestyles, everybody's going to want that, so then they don't settle and they just end up single forever. So that's another factor. So, yeah, you have all of that here. Black Reptilian says, we have a growing crisis of personality, Poland here. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, everybody's kind of like a brain-dead TikTok individual now, at least the younger people. And so, yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Western society may very well collapse unless there's just some kind of mass reversal here. But that's, that's the presentation here. I think I kind of covered pretty much everything. I don't know if there's much more to cover here. So if there's no other question, I mean... I Am Ion's Cat says, take us out with the Paul Harvey I was the devil speech. Oh, that's been a while. $1964. 1964, 1965.
If I were the devil, if I were the devil, if I were the prince of darkness, I'd want to engulf the whole world in darkness, and I'd have a third of its real estate and 4/5 of its population, but I wouldn't be happy until I had seized the ripest apple on the tree, thee. So I'd set about, however necessary, to take over the United States. I'd subvert the churches first. I'd begin with a campaign of whispers. With the wisdom of a serpent, I would whisper to you as I whispered to Eve, do as you please. To the young, I would whisper that the Bible is a myth. I would convince them that man created God instead of the other way around. I would confide that what's bad is good and what's good is square. And the old I would teach to pray after me, Our Father, which art in Washington. And then I'd get organized. I'd educate authors in how to make lurid literature exciting so that anything else would appear dull and uninteresting. I'd threaten TV with dirtier movies and vice versa. I'd peddle narcotics to whom I could. I'd sell alcohol to ladies and gentlemen of distinction. I'd tranquilize the rest with pills. If I were the devil, I'd soon have families at war with themselves, churches at war with themselves, and nations at war with themselves, until each in its turn was consumed. And with promises of higher ratings, I'd have mesmerizing media fanning the flames. If I were the devil, I would encourage schools to refine young intellects, but neglect to discipline emotions. Just let those run wild. Until before you knew it, you'd have to have drug-sniffing dogs and metal detectors at every schoolhouse door. Within a decade, I'd have prisons overflowing. I'd have judges promoting pornography. Soon I could evict God from the courthouse, then from the schoolhouse, and then from the houses of Congress. And in his own churches I would substitute psychology for religion and deify science. I would lure priests and pastors into misusing boys and girls and church money. If I were the devil, I'd make the symbol of Easter an egg and the symbol of Christmas a bottle. If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who wanted until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious. And what'll you bet? I couldn't get whole states to promote gambling as the way to get rich. I would caution against extremes in hard work, in patriotism, in moral conduct. I would convince the young that marriage is old-fashioned, that swinging is more fun, that what you see on TV is the way to be. And thus I could undress you in public, and I could lure you into bed with diseases for which there is no cure. In other words, if I were the devil, I'd just keep right on doing what he's doing. Paul Harvey. Good day.
So that was 1964 or 65. Very curious. Very haunting indeed. I mean, that should be up there with Albert Pike's predictions as well. I mean, pretty on the nose. And obviously the one and only Bill Cooper, behold the pale horse, continuing to carry that torch, exposing the agendas of the spiral that is Western civilization. Welcome, Justin Johnson. You're just reaching the end here. We are pretty much done here. I mean, it's just the stats are so staggering. I mean, these overlays. You just have all these multiple psychological operations, for lack of a better word. And, yeah, that leaves us where we are now. So what I think, let's leave this on a positive note. The power of the internet is like a double-edged sword against the devil. Because now everything can be exposed and the truth can be shown. So the darkness can be overwhelmed with the truth of light by simply utilizing the internet. And I think to an extent that has been done. I mean, more and more people are becoming aware of everything going on. So, I don't think doom and gloom is the right attitude here, because the more all of this is exposed, the more it can be turned around. The question is, how far will everything be destroyed before the turnaround point? Now, especially if you consider all the resets of society. If you haven't checked out the Altered History series here on MindShock, check that out. I mean, is this all leading into another reset where the collapse is going to be quite substantial and the reset's going to be starting almost from scratch? That we don't know. So, yeah, I mean, that was definitely a good way to close this one out. So, shout out to I Am Ion's cat with a very apt request for the outro here for this episode. Obviously, we'll be back with plenty more. Got a lot more to cover, a lot of different topics, a lot of different cases. But thanks again, everybody, for joining us here for another edition of the MindShock Podcast, another logical analysis. If you want to help support the podcast, you can donate to our PayPal. Just check the link in the description. Make sure to subscribe, like, and share. Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, and Patreon. This is Bruce McGuire signing off. Catch you guys next time.